After every year, we give you bust and breakouts of each position. We have the wide receivers from last year. We're going to give you some guys who absolutely broke out and some guys who busted and probably killed your team. So, Badaki, who's the first wide receiver breakout of the season?
I think there's no surprise of who this is, and this is Cooper Kupp. The man went absolutely crazy. His ADP was wide receiver 18. He was being taken mid-third round, and he finished wide receiver 1. It's
Literally, no one scored more points than him. Yeah. Literally.
The definition of a breakout year. And as we were writing this script, I was like, Zach, do you know how many more yards Cooper Kupp had compared to 2020?
Yeah.
It's literally just under 1,000 yards. He rounded up, it's 1,000 yards compared to 2020.
He went crazy. I mean, he was literally 50 yards off a 2,000-yard season through the air. This is a Matthew Stafford effect. Targets went up. Yards per catch went up. Touchdowns went up.
He led the league.
How about next year, though?
He led the league in every position, by the way. I don't know if you know that. Receiving.
Yeah, in every
targets.
category.
Yeah, targets, for touchdowns, everything.
Are you taking him in the first round next year, though? Do you feel confident enough to take him in the first round?
Late first round.
This is everyone. They're
late first round at best. I said this in the podcast. I was like, if I can start off with Joe Mixon, for example, at the 1-8 and then at the 1-9 and get the turnaround and Cooper Kupp's there, fantastic. That's a great start in my opinion.
I think he goes in the first 7 picks, and I think I'm just gonna avoid it because I love it. I love what we saw, but I like to bet on guys who are freak athletes. All respect to Cooper Kupp. Dude's an insane route runner. All right, who's our second breakout of the year?
Deebo Samuel, ADP wide receiver 36. These are the guys who are getting drafted around him. Tyler Boyd, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks, and Laviska Shenault.
R.I.P.
Yeah, finished wide receiver 3. It was an absolute surprise. No one understood it. I think the biggest thing was coming into this season, the 2021 season, was like, can he stay healthy? The year before, he missed 9 games. Only scored 1 touchdown in 2020. But this year, he went off. 77 receptions, 112 targets, over 1,400 yards. And then he had the dual threat in the rushing ability, 59 rushing attempts, 365 yards, 14 touchdowns. He did great. No one expected it. You got to steal.
He really did. I think I'm more excited about him next year, and I feel more confident of where his ADP will be than guys like Kupp. I think I could probably get Deebo in the middle of the second next year, and I think I'm more okay with that. But it worries me about Trey Lance because I'm not sure he will be as consistent as Jimmy G was for Deebo.
And
that slightly worries me.
Especially the rushing upside with Deebo. You expect Trey Lance to kind of take some of that attempts from Deebo away. Yeah. And maybe that helps Deebo because the question is, next year, can he stay healthy every single game? And maybe that can help Deebo Samuel be a little bit more focused on the receiving game and less on the rushing game.
Yeah, all right. Jamar Chase is our last breakout of the year. He was drafted as a wide receiver 29 around guys like Juju, Jerry Jeudy, Kenny Golladay, Devonta Smith, and he finishes a wide receiver 5. The best rookie season any wide receiver has ever had. Justin Jefferson said, "I'm the best rookie ever," and then Chase is like, "Nah, actually I am." Yeah. They have that little teammate duel. Really great stats: 81 catches, 14,055 receiving yards, 18 catches per catch, 18 yards per catch, 13 total touchdowns. Where are we taking Chase next year in redraft? And in Dynasty, do we agree he's the wide receiver 1?
Yeah, in Dynasty, there's no doubt he's the wide receiver 1. Don't worry about it. In a redraft perspective, I think he's going to go where Devontae Adams goes. Devontae Adams last year, depending on your drafts, I've seen him first. 7, 8, 9, around there. Some people took him even earlier at the 5, which was crazy in my opinion. But yeah, I think Jamar Chase is the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty and in redraft moving forward, purely because.
And in redraft, you have him as the first wide receiver in redraft.
I want to say yes. It's still early, but it's purely because of connection with Joe Burrow.
Right, something special.
That's
sure.
The biggest thing. We don't know where Devontae Adams is going to be. Maybe Tyreek Hill probably still. We have that argument. Tyreek Hill, yes, with Patrick Mahomes. So maybe it's wide receiver 1A and wide receiver 1B.
Yeah, I get that. The only thing that worries me is that little lull that he had in the middle of the season, and I've said this before, but when teams have a full year of tape on something that's really worked well in an offense, they tend to try and figure out how to stop that. So I think T. Higgins becomes a really good value this year, but I'm okay with his value if he gets into the second. All right, we got 2 busts for you. We'll talk about him briefly. Number 1 is Terry McLaurin. As a Washington fan, this makes me sad. Wide receiver 10 is where he was drafted. Finished as wide receiver 25. This is all about quarterback play. Yeah. I do believe Terry is a top 10 talent at the wide receiver position in the NFL, but unfortunately, Washington hasn't had a top 32 quarterback for a very long time.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. That's really the biggest thing. You know, Terry, he just couldn't do it. They couldn't bring it together. The connection with the quarterback just wasn't there. You know, we thought Taylor Heineke, Matty Fitz was going to do something. They just couldn't do it. And it scares me moving forward for Terry and the quarterback. Let's just say they get Kenny Pickett. Is it going to be right away, or is it going to be, they gave him a contract extension for Terry, and maybe year 3 of Kenny Pickett's year, that's when he can really flourish? I don't know.
Yeah, the good news is change is coming. So It's going to be good regardless, because it can't get much worse than this. He averaged 4.5 receptions on 7.6 targets per game this year. I do think he's better next year, and maybe he's a good buy low in Dynasty at this point. I think that could be a conversation.
Definitely.
Allen Robinson. Another bust. Massive bust.
It was terrible.
Lord help me, I'm about to bust. He was drafted as a wide receiver 11, finished as a wide receiver 81.
Look, he missed 5 games, averaged less than 4 targets per game. He had 8 games under 10 fantasy points. I mean, within the 12 games he did play, he only averaged 7 points per game, just over 7 points. And the 2 games, he only had 2 games over 10 points.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And
he needs to change his scenery. Otherwise, I won't be interested in him in Dynasty.
Yeah.
He's got to get out of Chicago, and I think he knows that.
Yeah, there's a part of me that I would like to see what it would look like with the new head coach and GM. I know Zach doesn't like it, but there's a part of me that let's see what he does with the whole new system in Chicago. But I get it. If he does go somewhere, he can get that elite workload. You know, he can be the wide receiver 1 somewhere, a complimentary wide receiver for another wide receiver 1. You know, wide receiver 1B. He can.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a pretty cheap value for someone this year in free agency. Mm-hmm. So what if he goes to a good team like the Bills or the Chiefs, or he could be a real steal in drafts next year.
He definitely can.
These are our bust and breakouts of the year. Let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.